Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Echo of Life. Let's start. It often begins silently, without fanfare or dramatic announcement. There is a subtle shift, a quiet hurt that goes unseen. A child gazes out a rain-streaked window, watching droplets fall like unanswered questions tapping against the glass. He wonders, am I loved? Am I safe? Does anyone truly see me? When no reply comes, he learns to stop asking. This is not a tale of clear villains and heroes, nor simply about imperfect parents or a flawed society. It is quieter than that. The story of an emotionally underdeveloped adult starts long before adulthood arrives. It begins when the emotional ground of childhood is either nourished or left to dry and splinter. Before someone grows into a man or woman, they are first an emotional being, absorbing everything around them. A child does not analyze, they absorb. And if what they absorb is mostly confusion, dismissal, rejection, or fear, they begin to build their world on unsteady footing. Yet life moves forward, and so they learn to walk, even if emotionally part of them stays behind. An emotionally underdeveloped adult is not necessarily unintelligent or visibly struggling. Many hold steady jobs, raise families, smile at gatherings, and engage in thoughtful conversation. But beneath that capable exterior lives a hidden child, frozen in time, still waiting for the love, safety, or clarity they never received. This is where the complexity lies. Emotional maturity is not about age. It is about integration, whether the adult has been able to face the emotional echoes from their past. For the underdeveloped adult, those echoes are met not with curiosity, but with walls. The first wall, blame. They blame others for their feelings, their setbacks, their pain. If someone else is at fault, they avoid the grief of their own unmet needs. They sidestep the inner child who never learned to navigate difficult emotions. Blame becomes a security blanket, a shield against responsibility, born not from malice, but from deep-seated fear. The second wall, denial. They deny their own needs or exaggerate them. They might claim, I don't need anyone, while secretly longing for connection. Or they may constantly seek attention and reassurance, unaware of the depth of their hunger. Denial isn't conscious deception. It's psychological survival. The child who learned that showing emotion led to punishment or indifference learns to shut down. Decades later, the adult still doesn't know how to turn those feelings back on. And so they move through life like an actor who never takes off the costume. They play the part of the confident leader, the loyal friend, the capable partner. While inside, the child still pleads, please don't leave, please love me, please don't make me feel small again. But no one hears, not even themselves. This brings us to the third wall, control. When we lack emotional maturity, uncertainty feels threatening. We cannot bear unpredictability, so we attempt to control everything: conversations, relationships, outcomes. Disagreement feels like abandonment. Another's independence feels like rejection. The underdeveloped adult seeks control not out of hunger for power, but out of terror. And often, they don't even know what they're afraid of. The roots are buried too deep. This is why relationships become the mirror where emotional immaturity is most visible. A romantic partner becomes the stage where every unmet childhood need plays out. Arguments are not just disagreements. They are reenactments of unhealed stories, of silent cries and fears too old to name. You try to speak calmly, and they react like a wounded animal. You express your feelings, and they feel attacked. You ask for space, and they accuse you of leaving. Because in their world, everything is still about survival. To the underdeveloped adult, love often feels dangerous. Vulnerability feels like exposure. So instead of true connection, they may perform it, giving gifts, sharing laughter, creating memories. But when emotional truth surfaces, when difficult conversations arise, they retreat, lash out, or break down. Emotional maturity means being able to stay in discomfort, in uncertainty, to stay connected when it's hard, not only when it's easy. But for the emotionally underdeveloped, staying was never modeled. This leads to another painful pattern: idealization and devaluation. The underdeveloped adult often sees others in extremes. At first, someone is perfect, a savior, a soulmate. But the moment that person disappoints them, sets a boundary, or reveals a flaw, they become the enemy. Love turns to resentment, admiration to rage. This is black and white thinking, the inability to hold complexity. It reflects a childlike need for certainty. In their emotional world, there is little room for nuance because nuance requires maturity, and maturity requires integration. So where does that leave them? In a cycle. They seek intimacy but fear closeness. They crave understanding but avoid self-awareness. They want control but end up feeling powerless. And the most heartbreaking part, many don't even realize this is happening. Awareness is the final wall, the one that must be broken from within. No one can do it for them, and many never try because to grow emotionally is to grieve. To mature is to feel. To evolve is to revisit the very moments they worked so hard to forget. And that is terrifying. So they continue blaming, denying, controlling, idealizing, resenting. They mistake emotional reactions for emotional depth, independence for maturity, intelligence for growth. But growth isn't loud. It's quiet. It's crying alone in the car because you realize you hurt someone and don't know how to make it right. It's staying present during an argument instead of shutting down. It's saying, I was wrong, and meaning it. It's choosing to understand, not just to be understood. The psychology of the underdeveloped adult isn't about shame. It's about compassion. Because truthfully, each of us carries some form of emotional immaturity. We were all children once. We all had needs that went unmet. We all built defenses that once kept us safe. But what once protected us now keeps us stuck. The difference lies in whether we choose to pause, to look back, to listen, to gently unravel the threads of our emotional past and ask, what am I still carrying that no longer belongs to me? That question is the start of maturity. And it is only the beginning. True emotional maturity isn't built through books, degrees, or achievements. It is carved in silence, often through the difficult work of self-confrontation. Takes courage, not to conquer the world, but to sit alone with yourself and not look away from what you find. The underdeveloped adult avoids this. They stay in constant motion, chasing attention, success, pleasure, distraction, because stillness feels dangerous. It reminds them of what remains unresolved. And yet, stillness is the very medicine they need. Many underdeveloped adults were never given an emotional language as children. No one taught them how to say, I'm scared, or I feel unloved, or I need to talk. So instead, they learned indirect languages. Sarcasm, withdrawal, anger, deflection. They mistake vulnerability for weakness. They guard their ego as if it is their life, and in a way it is because that ego is all they've ever known. But ego is not identity. It is armor. And when you live your whole life armored, you never truly feel the sun. So they grow older, but not up. They gain knowledge, but not insight. They build relationships, but not intimacy, because intimacy demands presence, honesty, and self-awareness, all of which the emotionally underdeveloped adult struggles with. Not because they are incapable, but because they are unpracticed. Emotional maturity is a practice, a discipline chosen again and again. To slow down when you want to react. To stay soft when everything in you wants to harden. To be quiet when your pride wants to scream. And perhaps most of all, to listen not only to others but to yourself. To the parts of you that have been silenced, avoided, or buried. Listening is the start of healing, but it is also the start of loss. As we mature, we lose parts of our former selves, the justifications, the illusions, the comforting lies. We lose the belief that we were always right, that others were always wrong, that life owed us understanding without us doing the work to be understandable. The underdeveloped adult often clings to these illusions not out of malice, but because letting go feels like a kind of death. And in a way, it is the death of the old self, the small self, the guarded self. And few are willing to face that, because it is a quiet death with no trophies or applause. Just you, your shadow, and the steady work of integration. That is why many emotionally underdeveloped adults surround themselves with people who enable them, partners who don't challenge them, friends who excuse their behavior, environments where growth isn't expected. To be seen clearly feels risky. To be called out feels like collapse. Their identity is built like a house of cards, and one strong gust of self-awareness could bring it down. But some do let it fall. Some wake up one morning and realize, this isn't working. I'm hurting people. I'm stuck. I feel empty. That moment of reckoning is sacred. It is terrifying, but sacred. Because from there, something new can begin. Something honest, something free. Growth doesn't always look noble. Sometimes it looks like crying in a therapist's office. Sometimes it looks like writing through shame. Sometimes it looks like sitting in the quiet, learning, slowly, gently, how to finally come home to yourself. Thank you for watching my video. Please subscribe my channel. For more update,